Contact here, contact there. Contacts can be added anywhere. You can save a ton of time in the moment with some of the baked in ways that Redtail allows you to add in a contact to the system. So today we're going to cover head to toe all of the different ways that you can add someone new to the system, and whether this is a prospect that you're adding to the system, maybe it's a client that you just went over, or maybe it's a family member or a center of influence, whatever that relationship might be, you definitely want to get that person inside of the Redtail CRM system and start adding the history to them. So when you're on the home page of the CRM, you're going to notice there's this top menu up here in the top right-hand corner that follows you around everywhere. And what I mean by that is if I click reports on the left-hand side, you'll notice that screen is still locked at the top. So no matter what page I'm on in the CRM, I can always go up here and access these icons. And the first way that we're going to add a contact to the system is using the quick add option. So this quick add icon was created so that you can add any new content to Redtail on the go in the moment without having to flip back to screens, because that plus sign will always be locked on the screen for you. So if you click on that plus sign in the top right-hand corner, you're going to want to go ahead and choose to add in a contact to go ahead and add somebody into the system. Now you're going to be given a few different options here. You could either add in this contact as an individual, business, association, trust, or union. So maybe somebody's part of a water buffalo club that you want to add that club into the system and link them through memberships. Or maybe it's a business that you do 401k with, or it's a prospect that you met. You're going to want to use these options to designate what type of record is this. But more than likely, you are going to be adding in a person to your system. So you're going to want to go ahead and choose on individual because you're adding in a person. So we'll choose individual. And then we'll go ahead and put in the first and last name. You can put in as much information as possible. But at the very least, all you need is a first and last name. Because sometimes, let's say this is a prospect that I just met at lunch today. The only thing that I know about this prospect is their first and last name. So that is the minimum requirement to go ahead and go all the way down to the bottom to choose Save Contact. But I also want to mention that while you're on this screen, you do have a section here that says spouse. So if you do put in a name for a spouse, you will go ahead and create a contact record for that spouse as well. So if we go ahead and put in the spouse's name and we put in the original contact's name, what's going to happen right now is 2 records are going to be created automatically. They're automatically going to be linked underneath the family section, and you just did it all within one screen. Now you do have the potential to create 2 other records from this screen, and that is through the employer. So if we go ahead and put that, their employer is Hollywood, and we've never added Hollywood into the system before, it'll go ahead and create a contact record for the business called Hollywood, and it'll link Bill Murray underneath that business. So you do have another potential here to go ahead and add in another name, and you could potentially create another record right from this screen. So from this screen that we're on right now, and I got here by clicking on the plus sign and choosing on contacts, you can add up to 4 people all at once, right by going to the bottom and choosing save. So we'll just remove the employers there and save the contact. And now what happened is it created those 2 records for me. So it created a record for Bill, and it also created a record for Jennifer. So there's the very first way that you can add contacts to the system. It is probably the most go-to way to go ahead and add someone new. It's using that plus sign, choosing on contacts, selecting individuals, and adding in that information. But remember, at Redtail, we're all about good, clean data. So if you can just try to get as much information in there as possible, it'll go ahead and make a lot of front end work for you, but then it'll save time later when you're trying to call this client or you're trying to do a mailing campaign. You're not going to have failed campaigns because of missing information. Now, the second way to go ahead and add a contact to the system is through the family section. So when we added a contact to the system, we were able to add the first contact and that contact's spouse. But what happens if this family has children that I also want to add as well? Well, unfortunately, you're not able to do it from that initial add contact screen. However, all you need to do is jump into this family section. You just need to click on the icon here or the link here that says the Murray family, and it'll take you into the family section. And from this family section, we could choose to add in a new dependent, and we can type in that contact's name. And we do suggest to type slowly because if this contact is in your system already, it will pull it up here in the drop-down menu. But you'll notice that there is just an option here that says Luke Murray with new contact in parentheses. So if I choose this option that says new contact in parentheses, what's going to happen is it's going to go ahead and add in a new contact record for Luke, and it automatically linked him here underneath the family section. So remember, if you're in the moment, you want to add in children, you want to change the spouse, or you forgot to add in the spouse the first time around, no worries. You could just click on the family section, choose to add in a dependent or add in a spouse, type in that person's name, and then choose new contact. And what that'll do is it'll create that contact record for this person, and it automatically links them here underneath family. Now, the next way that we can show you to add in a contact, this is the brand new way to add in a record. This was just released in the last week, and it is amazing to go ahead and do. Because oftentimes what's happening is you are scheduling a phone call with this prospect, or you're scheduling a meeting with this prospect. So what you're doing is you're either going to the calendar on the left-hand side and you're choosing on the date and time that you're supposed to make that phone call, or this client is supposed to come in, and you can go ahead and type in the information here. Now you'll notice that you're able to type in a contact's name up here in the contact name, and same thing applies here as it does in the family section. Because if I add in Homer Murray, and I've never added Homer to the system before, what's going to happen is it's going to give me that same option right here to add in this person as a new contact. And when I schedule this call with Homer and I go ahead and create this activity, what it'll do is it'll create that activity, but it'll also create that contact record for Homer as well. So I just did this with creating an activity. I added in someone new to the system, but a little tip or trick here is that you want to make sure that the person that you're adding from the activity screen is the head of household. And what I mean by that is if I go over here to create a new family, I potentially can create Homer as his own head of household. So I can go ahead and say, Homer lives on his own. He is a bachelor and he's just getting started and he wants to go ahead and bring his money over to the firm. Then we can go ahead and say that, this is just Homer Murray as the family name and create the family here. However, if Homer was a child of Bill, and let's say he was still a dependent child, I would still need to do the extra step of going back over to Bill's record and linking Homer as a dependent. Because if you add a contact on the go through the add activity screen, it's not going to allow you the opportunity to link that person underneath the family section. So if they are in fact underneath somebody's family, whether that's a dependent or a spouse, you're just going to want to make sure you do that extra step of going back to the head of household and linking that person here. But if, like I said, if Homer is in his own household, he's an adult child, he's doing really well for himself, and we're going to go ahead and bring him onto the firm, then you want to make him his own head of household, because Homer has his own address. He's going to start his own family one day. So we want to treat him as his own household, and then we'll link his father and his mother and his brothers underneath the membership section. So another way that you can add a contact to the system on the go is by adding in an activity. You could either do that through the calendar page, or you can go over here and go ahead and type in the person's name and choose new contact, and it'll go ahead and create a new contact record for this person. So we covered a few different ways already. We covered the way to add in from the add button, the quick add icon in the top right-hand corner. We showed that you can add from the spouse of the quick add button, because when we added in a contact from that quick add, we have the ability to type in a spouse's name, and it could create a record for that individual as well. We also covered how you can add a record from the family section. As long as they're a spouse or dependent child, you can create a record right from that page. And we also just showed you how you can create a record on the go through adding an activity. So whether that's using the quick add icon to add an activity, or if you're on the calendar and you double click on a date and time, you can go ahead and add in a record right from that screen as well. And then the last and final way, and is probably a way that every single person listening to this session has already added a contact to the system, is through a data import. So Redtail offers complimentary data imports. It doesn't matter if you just signed up for today or if you've been signed up with Redtail for 10 years. We will still offer you a complimentary import of any data that you want to get into the system. So if you want to go ahead and get data into the system, you can choose on the Redtail help desk, and underneath training sessions, underneath live webinars, we do have a webinar here that is all about moving data. So that way you can learn all of the ways that you can take a list that's outside of Redtail and get it inside of Redtail. And all the way at the bottom here, we're going to have all of those spreadsheets that you can go ahead and populate, that you would go ahead and save and send back to us. And like I said, everyone listening to this session has probably already done this to start Redtail. You probably got your information imported from another CRM or from a spreadsheet, which is exactly the option that I'm covering right now. So you can add in contacts from the CRM on the go, in the moment, or you can go ahead and choose to kind of take it offline, off the system, and generate a list through one of these spreadsheets. Provide that list to us, and we'll automatically import that data into your system. So that's the last and final option that I wanted to cover on ways that you can add contacts to the system. I know another burning question you probably have is, okay, I just added all these contacts to the system. Now, how do I know who I've added recently? And we do have an area specifically for you. If you click on contacts on the left-hand side, you're going to have a section at the top that says list. So it's a tab here at the top underneath that search contacts bar that says lists. And if you go to lists, you can go down to recently added, and this is going to show all of those contacts that you have recently added to the system. So we can go ahead and use this section if we just want to pinpoint very quickly who are those people that we have recently added. We can check out this area and quickly see. In addition, if we go back to contacts and we click on the advanced search, you do have a search option available where it was contact created at. And then you can say, created at year or created at month or created at time. And then you can set that it was created greater than or equal to, and we can put something like 2018 here, and it'll bring up a list of all those contacts that we've added here in the last year or since 2018. So that's another option for you, is through the search results. You can go ahead and access those records that you have just added to the system. So those are all of the ways that you can add contacts to the system. You want to choose what's best for you. And honestly, it might be different in different situations, because you might already have people in your system and now you're just adding in spouse and children, and you're going to want to do that through the family section. Or maybe you are adding in activities, calendar events, and right from that screen, you think it would be best to add in the record. There you go. One-stop shop. You can add in the contact and create the activity right there. So it kind of just depends on what situation you're dealing with that will be best for you. But if you have any questions on how to add in a contact, how to import this data from the spreadsheets, how to access a search, definitely give our team a call at 1-800-206-5030, and that's option 3 for support. But otherwise, I want to thank you so much for your time today and wish everyone a great rest of the day. Thank you and take care.